Welcome to Behind the Helm. We are so happy you're here with us. The show features myself and Petty Officer Dowden. We work together in Indiana as Navy recruiters. We created the show with the intention to help bring together the past, present, and future personnel of the military to help build a better understanding of what it's like to actually be a part of it. So you'll see anything from like interviews to video reactions or just personal stories of our own to help guide those who have interest in learning more about what the military has to offer and what it takes to make the ultimate sacrifice to serve your country. This podcast can be found on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and live on Facebook every Thursday at 4 p.m. And that's facebook.com/behindthehelm. So don't forget to like, share, and follow the show so you never miss out on an episode. And thank you to everyone here who supports us. Enjoy. Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Helm, episode 27.
We'll make it to 30.
We'll make it to 30.
We've been doing it over 30 weeks, but
I can't wait for 50. I know we talked about that before. When 50 comes around, it's going to be like this extravaganza. Could be like some...
yeah, maybe a couple of
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll like burn this table alive.
Yeah.
No, we won't do that.
What is that? Is that a reference to something?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay. But
just wanted to burn something.
hey, welcome to Behind the Helm. It's good to have you here. If this is your first time here, it's good to have you. It's about time. If this is your 27th time here, have a seat. Welcome home.
For sure, absolutely. Every Thursday we're live, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Facebook. Obviously, after the live show, our live show goes right into the bonus content. After the live show, you can always watch this later on Facebook, and then be on the lookout tomorrow on Friday, because what happens? It comes out on all our other platforms. You can listen to it as just a podcast on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you go over there and click that notify button there so that it tells you when it's up. And then if you actually want to watch the video, because we all know you want to see these guys right here, you can also see it on YouTube. We put it on YouTube, and it gets trimmed a little bit so you can watch just the content video, and then right after that you can click a separate video to watch just the bonus content. So make sure you check that out tomorrow. Check us out on all of our platforms, and you can do that by using our Linktree app, which is posted everywhere. It's a weird one. It's a weird one to like say, because it's, there's no www. It's just http://, but then it's linktr.ee / whatever you want to say.
Yeah,
behind
whatever link we have in the description is going to bring you to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if you're here right now, you're going to get the full show.
Full show.
And you can interact with us.
Yeah.
Right? Jason, how do you say it? Halstead. He said can't wait. I know he's a viewer more times than not.
Yeah. You can definitely, the best part about the live, like you're saying, is you can actually interact. So you can derail us. That's happened before.
Like we don't do that ourselves.
Yeah, we do that all on our own. But you can kind of drive the direction. Obviously, afterwards you can't. It doesn't mean don't comment on the YouTube, though, because, hey, man, we like to read those too, or after the fact. But most definitely, make sure you smash that like button down there, because every time you do, you get that sweet, sweet little image of the Simpsons down there, and we get to hear a sweet sound, which we love and enjoy. And share it. Find a like, share it, follow it. So,
another week, another homage to pay to the Eagle.
Now, last week, we talked about this, and we didn't, it was kind of sombering. It was important. I really liked our show last week. Go back and see it. Paid tribute to 20 years of 9/11, which was different than what we normally do.
Yeah.
However, what else was last weekend? Week 1 of the NFL. Yes. Week one. And we both play fantasy. You're in 2 leagues. I'm in 1.
Sure am.
Did you win both of your games?
I sure did.
Won mine. Thank you, Cooper Kupp.
Now, I will say I did luck out in my other league. I didn't put in Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller. Thank you. The Walrus led me to victory. Would have lost if he put Josh Jacobs in, but I mean that's how it works. Sometimes you got bad managers in your league.
I was down to the wire. Cooper Kupp going into half had nothing, and then blew up. So, but we did want to tell you we are football fans, and even though we're fantasy managers and we obviously won, maybe we should have been managing our favorite teams, because neither one of our favorite teams won. So to pay homage to the Eagle today, bought the Eagle a couple footballs, and you guys can see who our favorite teams are. Go ahead. What you got there?
This is just, a
You're
team.
from Boston. Everybody knows.
A team that has many championships. Many. Probably the greatest coach to ever coach the game, Bill Belichick. One of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play and is still playing. Probably play till he's like 60 years old, Tom Brady.
He's doing what
the
Brett
New England
Favre
Patriots. I mean, come on. I don't think there's much to say. How is this not America's team?
They're the Patriots.
They're the Patriots. How is this in the... Anyways.
And
put you right here.
All right, you're going to talk about your championships. I just want to say that they played my team in a Super Bowl, and who won that Super Bowl?
You always bring that up. It's
Right.
just like...
Right, it's all right. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
like, are you going to say the Giants are a better organization than the
All
Patriots?
I'm saying is that you've only played my team in one Super Bowl, and we won that Super Bowl. We're still undefeated against the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and that is the Chicago Bears. Absolutely.
Oh, someone has an issue with the greatest coach of all time.
A lot of people have an issue with you saying he's the greatest cheater of all time. We're not going to get into that. This isn't a football podcast. It should be. Then we just really look dumb. But absolutely. So week 2, I'm rolling in. I'm ready to win this week's league too. But Chicago Bears and the Bears.
Yeah,
and
the desk is growing here. There's a lot more. We're gonna have to get a bigger desk at some point. And then
now, like, because we were talking about it with my mustache, and I should have brought a picture, but just so you know, the mustache was because for my draft, I dress up as Mike Ditka.
Oh, okay.
Duh, coach.
Yes.
That's what happens.
So I've been doing a lot of interviews lately, like conducting a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
And it's just the new school year,
People starting to realize that they don't want to work in factories or in fast food, but that it's all that they're qualified for because they don't want to do anything else.
Perhaps, or it could just be that
That was a little
word
bit
around town is I'm a charming person, and but either way, our jobs have kind of changed, right? You're an onboarder now. I'm a talent scout.
Basically, more or less, we just don't have.
Chief Hedberg says go Bears. I didn't know she was a Bears fan. But, so I've been conducting a lot of interviews, and, I think, there's a lot of hesitation for people to come in the office and talk to a recruiter. One thing that I think or at least I hear a lot is that, I'm not ready to commit.
Yeah,
right? And a lot of people believe that the interview means that you are committing. So...
Well, we've talked about misconceptions about the Navy, misconceptions about the military, but what we haven't talked about is misconceptions of recruiters, because there are a lot. I mean, because you see it in old movies and stuff, and and I can't speak on recruiting like way back in the day, but it kind of was like that, like where you could go in, sign, like you'd be going to boot camp that week.
Yeah,
it's just not that way.
Yeah.
People really do think that they're going to come in and we're going to slide them a piece of paper and be like, hey, like we're used Carson, just sign that. Oh, boom, going to boot camp. Like, that's not even close to how it works. But it's that misconception.
We're like, yep, sign right there. Sign right there. Yep. All right, bus is coming. All right.
Yeah. And it's not. It's a lot of information. The military has changed so much that as a recruiter, it's a lot of information for us to put out. And because of the benefits and stuff that we have, I mean, literally is the top 1% in the nation.
Yeah.
So they are very picky, choosy about who gets in. It's not that easy to qualify. So I think, we did misconceptions of the Navy and of the military. And I think misconceptions of recruiting or of an interview process. Because when people have been posting on Facebook, I was telling you, people posting, anybody hiring? And I'll literally be on Facebook like, yep.
Anyone hiring $9 an hour? It's like, is that what you're reaching for?
I don't want to join the military. Like, dude, it's an interview.
It's an interview.
It's the same thing. So that's, I think you finding this and thinking about this is a good one.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through some questions that, one, let's talk about, like, what does an interview really look like, at least for us? I think Sapina, what do you put in there? What's your favorite?
My favorite Monster Energy drink is the Monster Energy Zero Ultra.
That is not a plug to Monster, but if Monster
yes,
ever...
it is.
Okay.
It fuels the military.
The free plug.
The free plug for Monster. You're welcome. You don't have to pay me unless you want to. Or just send me a lifetime supply of these because I don't drink enough of them. I can drink these. I'm probably going to die young. Like I drink these and I could go to bed. Like that's a problem.
You
But
almost need it to go to bed.
yeah. And what's funny is, and I bet the reason he's asking me is if you know any history of Monster is that this was actually originally created for women. So he's probably going to say something about
Oh, okay.
it. Yeah.
Well, he does know his stuff.
It's
But
0 sugar, 0 calories.
what does an
Nothing.
interview look like for us, right?
Yeah.
Basically, it's really to see if you're qualified. At the end of the day, it's to see if you're qualified and how it pertains to your goals. That is what an interview is, and it's not about me or you. It's about It's about the person sitting down in front of us.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, and we just, answer the questions that you have, right? Chief Harkins put in here, why should someone even come in for an interview, right? And that's kind of what we're getting at. It's like, it's so you can understand.
It's literally like question 1, Chief, so bear with us here.
Yeah.
Osapina derailed us. I made it worse. We'll get there. But 100%.
But it's meant so you can have clarity about what your options are and to understand, like, oh, okay, so is this an option for me or is it not? And then you can kind of go from there, right?
Knowledge is half the battle.
Yeah,
G.I.
exactly.
Joe.
And that's what we try to. That's why we try to reiterate to people, like, coming in, it's not a commitment. It's
No.
actually, it's all it's doing is clearing a path for you.
I wouldn't care if somebody sat in front of me, and this happens a lot, sat in front of me and like, hey, it's just not for me, or it's not whatever, or they take the information, they walk out, they throw it in the trash. Like I hope they don't, but at least then I know they know if it's an option for them, because it's so much like people think like, well, I'll try this first, and then if that doesn't work out, like I'll always have the military, because everybody thinks it's so easy to join the military.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like you can't, back in the day, like the old movie stuff we're talking about where they said, you used to stand in front of a judge, get ready to go to jail. Hey, you can go to jail or you can join the military. That's not going to happen anymore. If you're at that point, like you're probably not getting in.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's just a different military now. The benefits that are offered are just so much better. So we're never going to get to this. Let's get to it.
All right. So,
Sorry.
they have a few questions here that you should be asking. And number one, ask why you should join that specific branch, whoever you're talking to, right? It's important because each branch has its own lifestyle.
Sure.
Right? And if we're talking and we're going to be selfish here and talk about the Navy because this is behind the helm, right? For us, that would be travel. That's our lifestyle. It's travel. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of...
That's the standout difference, right?
Yeah.
That is the standout difference. So it's like, why should I join? And then the question on top of that is, why should I join the Navy over the Air Force? What is the difference between the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Marines? And it really is. It's a lifestyle choice. We all have jobs. Like there are a few special ones. Like we're the only one that has a nuclear program. Mm-hmm. Every single branch has their own spec ops. It's what do you want? And we all have those benefits. But the standout benefit, like we all have the GI Bill. We all have pay. You can see it. The standout, I think, is travel. Like you will be afforded the opportunity to travel without having to pay for it and see things that nobody else is ever going to get to see in the Navy.
100%. You should ask, what are the requirements for joining, right? And that's what we're getting. So when you come in for an interview, that's the first thing you're going to do, because you don't want to. One, I don't want to waste your time, and technically, I don't want to waste my time in a way. Like if you're permanently disqualified, let's get to that point instead of talking about what it could offer you and then find out it can't actually offer you anything because you're not qualified. And contrary to, I don't even know.
Contrary to popular
belief, it's easy to get in the military. It's not. Right? So we look at anything from like your height and weight, how old you are, any health conditions, what you score on an ASVAB, legal issues, anything. We'll get to that in the beginning.
Yeah, and there's a couple questions about that coming up as well. And so I think the easiest way to put it, and each branch is a little different with their requirements. Age requirements are close to the same. Like Marines, you can't be as old. For us, it's 17, academically a senior. Like back in the day, you used to be able to just like drop out of school and join the military. You can't do that anymore. Like if you can't graduate high school, you're not getting in. Even if you get a GED, you have to score higher. But for us, it's 17 to 39. You know, you can join. We always talk about mentally, morally, and physically fit, and the easiest way to explain that is the physically is there is a height and weight standard, you know, but both of us have dealt with that and walk people through that. But that's also medically.
Yep.
You know, like there are just some things, unfortunately, you know, it's harsh to say because I want to help everyone, but if you have certain conditions, you're just not going to qualify. But you'll never know if you don't ask.
Exactly.
Mentally is the ASVAB test. Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. If they come to your school, a lot of times they say it's the Career Exploration Exam. It's the ASVAB.
Yeah.
And then morally is just, you know, morally, are you a decent human being? Do I feel like you belong in my Navy?
Yeah.
And are you not like a multiple-time felon or like a murderer or something?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a warrant out for my arrest. Can I join the Navy?
Drug use.
Drug use and morally. So, you know.
Next one on here is, what is the minimum length of my service commitment?
8 years.
Yeah, well, 4 years active, 4 years inactive reserves.
Yeah,
right?
So that doesn't get said a lot because that's every branch. You join for 8 years. For us, I have not seen any 3-year. There used to be.
Yeah, there used to be, but it's 4.
It's 4, so 4 active. That's your Monday through Friday. You know, every day. You know, you can be deployed. You go to do whatever. The inactive reserve is what isn't explained. Like, what is that? So you dedicate 8 years total. So like I've re-enlisted, right? I'm over 8 years. I will not have inactive reserve if I were to get out today.
Yep.
All inactive reserve is you don't do 1 week in a month. You don't do like the 2 weeks a year. It's not active reserve, right? You keep yourself updated. So I guess the way to explain it is this: like if we were to go to like some major like world war ever again, okay, you know, they'd send active first, then they would activate the active reserve. Then if we still needed more people before they would go to a draft, they would reactivate inactive reservists because you have the training you've recently got out. Is that ever going to happen with the size of our military? I highly doubt it, but I can't tell the future.
Yeah.
But that's what that is. So minimum active time for us, 4 years.
And also you could have an extension depending on what job you pick. Sometimes jobs have a longer school. So if there's a longer school, they'll put an extension on there. The longest you'll go is 6 years.
And you get, most of the time, those are the jobs that have enlistment bonuses or automatic advancement.
Yeah, like SEAL,
Nuke, ACF, which is what I did, which there wasn't a bonus for that, but it was automatic advancement to E4. So,
how long is boot camp / basic training? 8 weeks.
Well, it's eight full weeks.
Yeah,
because you do have some processing days in the beginning, but it is eight full weeks of training. Starts on a Monday. You always graduate on a Friday. 8 weeks. Right now, we're quarantining for 2 weeks. Right? But that's not part of your boot camp, and you're quarantined, and you're getting paid for it. Like, okay.
Yeah. Can I choose when to go to boot camp?
Do I have a choice?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Can I choose when I go to boot camp? Like, yes and no. Like, if you are a graduate, like you graduated high school, you could request, hey, I want to leave as soon as possible, and they will work with you. If you're a high school senior, you're going to leave in either June, July, or August, usually. Well,
and ours is a little different too, because what is written on this thing that we're reading through says, did I just read the wrong one? Oh no, I was reading the next one. You kind of can, right? So for us with the Navy, when I explain to my future sailors, when you choose the job that you choose down at MEPS, there is a whole timeline attached to that, all the way to getting to somewhere at a kind of point in time. You know, our classifiers and our MEPS are very good about working with people. You know, obviously, if you're a high school student right now, it's going to be next year. You can go with an idea of when you want to ship, but like you should be dedicated that this is what you want to do. But you know, like, hey, like I really want to join right now, but next month my family's going on this vacation.
Yep.
We can work with that. But if you're like, yeah, I really want to join, but I don't want to ship out, you know, go to boot camp till like, you know, 8-9 months from now, like, then why are you in here, man?
Yeah.
You know, so you kind of do, you know prior to, and then there are chances to like say you really want this job and you get this job and you're not shipping to boot camp for months, right?
Yeah.
Months down the line, there are opportunities where maybe somebody accidentally gets hurt or disqualified or something, and they had that same job, a spot opens up where you can leave earlier. You have that option. You go, team needs you.
Yeah.
You join the team.
Yeah.
So there's always opportunity, but like specific day, no, because it's attached to a training cycle. And if anybody says, yeah, you can pick the specific day that you leave, that is a lie. But definitely make sure to smash that like button down below. Make sure you comment. We're reading them as we go. You guys are being really interactive. I appreciate it. Oh, Subpoena, White Claws, get out of here. All right, next.
Where would I be stationed after boot camp, and do I have a choice? All right, so that's a decent question to ask, but it depends on the school. So, usually you don't have a choice on where your first duty station is. You're going to be what's called, at least in the Navy, it's called needs of the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in A school, a lot of A schools have an
them.
incentive where if you're top of the class, right, you can have choice of orders.
That's the way they did mine in
Yep.
C school. They literally, there's I think 11 of us. They brought in the top of the class all the way down. So even the very last person that graduated in our class had orders somewhere. He was just needs of the Navy. It was just the rest of us kind of got to choose between certain ones. So there's only so many orders. If somebody tells you, if a recruiter in an office tells you, oh, I can guarantee you will be, in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
You can't guarantee that, but at the end of the day, that there's only so many Navy bases, each branch is a little different. I can guarantee you with the job that you get where your school's going to be, because certain schools are only in certain spots. I can guarantee you where you're going to boot camp at, because we only have one place for that now. Yeah. But as far as your ultimate duty station, there are no guarantees, and there are no guarantees that if you were to join right now, that school will be doing that kind of pick 'em order type thing. But I always tell people, don't get complacent in school. Try hard. Does that make you the best sailor in the job that you're in? Not necessarily, because it's not as on the job. You're more learning the book side of a lot of it. Most of our schools are hands-on, but do well so that you have that opportunity.
Will I ever be deployed? If so, where to? If you're active duty, you are in a deployable status. At any point, you can get deployed.
Mm-hmm.
Where to is when it kind of gets a little different. Now, depending on what branch, they'll get deployed to certain places that maybe other branches wouldn't, right? Like I said, my uncle, he was in the Army for 12 years. He went to Kuwait.
Right.
Navy is not, if you're an electrician's mate on a ship, you're not going to Kuwait. You're not getting off the ship and going to Kuwait. Right. Now you could go out there out by the water, but it's not going to be exactly where you are. And it just kind of depends on the climate of
deployment's
what's
a weird
going on.
word.
Because sometimes there's cruises.
Yeah.
There's underways.
Well, when we talk about deployment specifically, though, around here especially, did you say your uncle? Right?
Yep.
Was in the Army.
My
grandfather was in the Army. Around here, it's Army Marines. That's what we know. So deployment is deployment. You're going to one place. That's not deployment for the Navy. Deployment's actually when we get to do that travel, right? So it's 6 to 9 months out to sea. Oh, you're just stuck out in the middle of the ocean? No, that's when we're pulling into ports. You're pulling into a port, once, twice every month, staying there for 3 to 5 days, getting to go out and see stuff. That's when you're actually getting to go see those things. So deployment is kind of one of those words that has this connotation about it that's completely different for the Navy.
Yeah.
And
our deployments are different because we're security for the waters.
Yep.
So in a lot of cases, we're
not going to one place.
We're almost, sometimes if the way that I think about it is they have someone out there making sure that water is secured, and then a ship will come and kind of replace what that ship was doing. It's almost like that ship was standing watch, and then they'll replace each other. So sometimes it's actually easier to predict when you might be going somewhere. So that's kind of a positive when you know that if I'm joining active duty, if I am deployable, that okay, well, this is kind of what my deployments would look like.
Right.
If I want to insert whatever job you're looking to do, what is the minimum ASVAB score I need? Well, so that is, I get that so many times because it doesn't matter what your score is. It's your line scores. It's medically, it's legally, it's any history of drug use. It all kind of combines together. It's not just your ASVAB score.
Yeah, if any recruiter, any branch ever guarantees you a job, they can't do that. Now,
if you have an ASVAB score, they have the line scores. You can plug them in, and
but
then
I
it'll
still
say,
don't know
but
medically.
you still don't even know because you need to go and get a physical first.
Right.
You don't know if you got vision problems or you're colorblind or anything like that. Depth perception, hearing.
Plus, it's hard because a lot of times when people look up certain things, unless they had family in the Navy, you only think you know about that job or because that's what you want to work in. So the ASVAB, the thing is 8 sections, and that AFQT score is mainly based off the math and English, but like the auto shop and all that, those are line scores that don't play into your score. And the Navy, especially like our classifiers, that's what they look at. Each job has specific things that have to be added up for that job. Like we could both have the same score, but you got every question right on the auto shot portion, and I didn't get a single one right, but we still have the same score. They're not going to come to me and be like, you should be an aviation mechanic.
Yeah.
No, because I'm not going to have the aptitude for that. It's just not how we do things.
Can I talk with someone that does the job I want? I kind of like that question because I mean, I know a bunch of people who do different rates. I know you do. We've put future sailors in that are in the Navy that do certain jobs. I've actually done that with somebody. Future sailor Hedrick was going into the submarine.
Oh yeah,
and,
you got him with Putney.
I called Putney.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good question. And we know a lot. Well, we know a lot about certain rates just because that's just part of our job now. We have to learn about each specific job. We don't have to. It's not in our job entail, but it's important for us to understand, like, oh, that's what this job does and that's what this job does. So people have an understanding, like, oh, I have like 6 or 7 jobs that I'm kind of interested in. What are they like? It's like this. It's like that,
Well, and it all comes back to because like it's so different. You were on a carrier. It's a lot different lifestyle than a destroyer. When I'm working down at Indy North with like Petty Officer Ospina, he worked, aviation side, so that's different. Chief Harkins, who's watching, was a CB before he, so that's a whole different ball game. So even though we know stuff, when you hear it from that side of it, now I can't say that I know somebody in every single rate, because there's so many jobs, but I really do try to do that because. Like Abbott, when she left, she's out in Hawaii living it up. I had a couple different people who got quartermaster, and I asked her, hey, would you mind talking to this future sailor? Just kind of tell them about school. And I think it shows a little bit more trust to people. And quite honestly, I want you to be educated in what you're doing. Yeah. And why not hear it from the horse's mouth?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
What will I be paid? Are there any bonuses or incentives for specific jobs?
Yeah.
So the first one, what would I be paid?
It's online.
It's all online. You can go to a base pay chart and see what you get paid. But there's more to it. You can ask us because there's CPay and BAH and BAS, and we'll tell you like.
Yeah, that's just the base pay.
Yeah. That's a good question to ask, and I think that's a question that gets asked almost every single time I do an interview, like
100%.
What does the pay look like? And it's an important question because like I've had some people who have a very they have a really good job, right, but they feel like, oh, I want to do something new, but I want to make sure I'm getting compensated. And you explain like, okay, so you're not going to be paying for this, so you have to add that to your income. You're not going to be paying this,
right? We were talking about that. We've talked about that a few times.
The bonuses and incentives, those can all be found online. They update every month. If you go on Navy.com,
they change. Yeah, that's right. So I think one of my most hated phrases that I hear recruiters say,
up to $40,000.
Oh, you can get up to $40,000 in bonuses. Yeah. Show me which one has $40,000. Because it just depends on the different incentives and what the job is, if you qualify for it. But at the end of the day, like the money that you make, like you were just saying, just basic example, health insurance. We don't pay for it. So you look at our base pay, and even if you add in like the BH and BAS, you're like, well, it's still like okay, well, I don't pay $600 to $1,200 a month for health insurance. So multiply that by 12, add that to my pay, because you may be making more, but you're paying for that, and dental and optical and life insurance. It's just, we have a breakdown actually. When somebody asks, we'll literally show them, but it would be a lot. Like we could probably do an entire episode on military pay. Ooh, maybe that's what we'll do next week. Nah.
Yeah. And then they have some like scenarios here.
Okay.
And we were talking about this before.
Couple of them, yeah.
This is that medically, morally, physically and morally, right?
Medically.
Can
morally,
I join if I have insert your medical condition here? All right. You can look it up online and you can read articles that say, yep, you're permanently disqualified, but you need to ask us because guess what we have? We have this great thing called a recruiting manual, and we can look up anything that is disqualifying, and we'll tell you. If you gave us a call, be like, hey, this and this and this, I'll let you know.
Don even said that 2 weeks ago. He says so many things once you're in are waiverable. To get in, a lot of things are waiverable. And it gives like such good examples right here. It said it may include ADD, ADHD, asthma, flat feet, or other medical conditions. Look, I've put in people who had ADHD, like had it, they weren't on a medication anymore. I've put in people with a past of asthma. It just depends. Like, don't look into something like that and be like, well, I'm disqualified.
Especially if things are conflicting and you're like, well, I guess I'll never know. Call us because we'll let you know.
Yeah, and we'll look at it because sometimes it may not be what you think. So 100%.
Can I join with the insert service branch here if I have a felony? It depends. Depends on what the felony is. Depends on if you have multiple. Depends if you have misdemeanor charges attached to those. Sometimes when it starts really adding, traffic violations actually start coming in. So
you can have misdemeanors. You can have, again, that's that morally. Okay. Are you morally a decent human being? Now, there are certain numbers because it does compound up. You can't have so many. And then we have to have all the paperwork on this that you did everything you were supposed to do. Can you get in with a felony? Yes. But.
It is hard.
But. It really just depends. I mean, I'll be 100% honest. Like, if it's a domestic violence felony, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Like, we have to look at it again. And that's one of those reasons that you come into an interview because you don't want to text me that. You don't want to put it on the comments right here. You don't want to maybe say that over the phone because you're not looking at me face to face. That is one of those things where we sit down and we talk about it.
Yeah. Can I join the insert military branch here if I have a DUI?
Yes.
Yes. But
Same thing.
Another one where, the write-up has to be good.
You can only have, again, it goes into those numbers. You have to be off of, because when you get a DUI, almost always you're on probation. You have to be off of that. It has to be so long after. Again, I could go on and on and on. But if you don't think, man, I messed up. I got a DUI. It's the only thing that's ever happened to me. I can't get in the military. Come talk to us because you still can.
Can I join if I have bad vision or wear glasses?
Yep.
Certain jobs require, perfect vision.
Yep.
Those. Usually it's like spec war stuff where vision's going to be important. Air rescue.
Those you don't have to have perfect
air
vision.
rescue. If you're jumping out of a helicopter into the water, they're going to want to make sure that you have perfect vision. That is one of them. That is
air rescue. Yeah.
Air rescue.
Yep.
But not many. That's actually pretty relaxed with those requirements. I've seen some people come in.
Bad eyes.
Yeah.
Chief Ellingson is actually his was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Color and depth perception. Yes. Again, certain jobs you're not going to be an EOD and be colorblind. Do I cut the gray wire or the dark gray wire?
Yeah.
It limits your jobs. You can definitely still get in. That's one of those things. Good question.
Yeah.
But they test you on that too. Don't assume I've always been told I'm colorblind. They actually test you at MEPS.
My favorite one. Can I join with a friend or go to basic training together?
Yes. Don't. So we do, and I think all the branches do. It's a little bit different. We do have a buddy system. You join at the same time, but here's the thing: unless you get the exact same job, all it does is guarantee that you will go to boot camp at the same time. But if you
does that even guarantee that you'd be in the same division?
No,
because you might be in brother div.
It doesn't guarantee you be in the same division. If you don't have the same job, it's nothing after boot camp as far as your station and your school, because if you have different jobs, you're gonna be different places anyway. And what if one of you, it doesn't happen very often, but say you twisted your ankle in boot camp and you got set back a week or something, they're not gonna make your buddy just get set back. So What I would tell you to do is if you're wanting to join with somebody, we have a great referral program. Once you've joined, if you get friends to join, it can actually get you to automatically advance. So just tell your buddy like, oh, yeah. And then you join and then give me his name and you can get automatically advanced. But again, in all seriousness, make sure you smash that like button, share this feed. Again, make sure to be on the lookout tomorrow for the actual podcast and YouTube video. We're going over interviews.
Yeah.
Recruiter interviews.
And the last little bit here, GI Bill. That's obviously the biggest thing that we have. I'll just read all three of these and we kind of talk about it.
Hit it.
You know, can you tell me about the GI Bill? How does it work?
Absolutely.
Can I pick what college I can go to?
Sure can.
Do I have to use my GI Bill or can I save it?
Yes.
That last one with save it, it's now a forever GI Bill. You could save it forever. It used to be 15 years and then you lose it. That's how it used to be.
The GI Bill, and plus, like, now we have tuition assistance, so everybody knows GI Bill. We won't get into tuition assistance, but just know you have to serve if you're active, to get the full 100% GI Bill, you have to have 36 months active service under your belt. So you could still be in and use it, or you can wait till you get out and use it then. You can go to any college you want. It's paying for that college. Each state is different. What state you're living in and what college you're going to is dependent. So all that information is actually available on the VA's website. You can go on, you can put the state, and it will show you the maximum amount of tuition that it will pay for. But then depending on if you're a full-time student, you get extra money on top of it. You get BAH, you get fees. Like when we talked to your buddy Cummins.
Oh, Cummins.
Yep. Like, I mean, dude, he was killing it just because of like going back to college and the money that he was getting on top of like his job. But yeah, all that. And you can transfer your GI Bill. Now there are stipulations to it, but you can transfer your GI Bill to your kids, your spouse. You can split it. Like, hey, I have 2 kids. I want this one to have 50% of it and this one to have 50%. Like,
you can apply for grants that you may not even need.
Yep. I wish I would have known that my first degree. I didn't.
Like the Pell Grant or something like that?
Well, I didn't.
That's one of them.
The big one is the
because then you just take the money.
It's a Pell Grant, but what's the big one that everybody always applies for?
I don't know.
The regular.
Whatever. Either way, you can apply for
free
grants.
money.
Yeah, free money.
TA and GI Bill still pays for all my school. I still applied for the Pell Grant. And based on my pay and being a single dad or whatever, they gave it to me. It's free. It's free money. Yeah. So my TA paid for it. The school gets a Pell Grant. Then my TA would come in and pay, and then the school would just send me a check. I'm like, this is great. Oh, yeah.
So, well, that was a lot of great information. I think that was one of the most in-depth conversations.
I know, and we could so go much further in depth.
Yeah,
and
so
there was a great comment by Chief Harkins too. If you're listening and you don't read his comment, a lot of schools don't realize that the Navy even offers scholarships to high school. So you can still get a scholarship through the Navy. It's not just about going active. Like, we can help you with that too.
Yeah.
Going the officer route. Can I go officer? Can I go enlisted then go officer? Yeah. Watch Don Nichols' story. And we kind of talk about that and hit on how you can do that with us. But there are scholarships out there for high school students through the Navy. God, it's a ton. And, like, we could probably pick apart each one of those. Like, I just saw 10 episodes. You know what I mean? Yeah. But most definitely, please smash that like button. Share this feed. Comment down below. If you're watching this later, you missed out on having fun with us live. But it doesn't mean that you still can't comment. Again, tomorrow, 4 p.m., we'll be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you're here live, we're going to roll right into the bonus content. Yep. If you're not here live, well, you got to click wherever he decides to put the button.
No, because there's a video coming up where I'll tell you where to click. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. You were just behind the helm. To see this podcast live, check us out on Facebook every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you were listening to this podcast on Apple or Spotify, head on over to our YouTube page to see this show and extra content. If you're on YouTube already, click the video below to see the after show and bonus content that's available right now. No matter what platform you're on, find the link in the description to find the links to all our other platforms. And as always, find it, like it, share it, and follow it. Thanks, guys.